All right, let's get into it. Today, we are diving headfirst into the wonderfully weird and, let's be honest, sometimes totally bizarre world of English idioms. These are the phrases we use every single day without even thinking about them. But when you stop and really look at them, oh boy, things get strange fast. And you know what? I could not agree more. Even as a native speaker, I've got to admit, English is just a minefield of confusing rules, exceptions to those rules, and phrases that make absolutely zero sense on the surface. It's a language that pretty much loves to break its own rules. So, what are the main culprits behind all this confusion? Well, it's these things. Idioms. They're basically figures of speech where the whole phrase means something completely different from the words themselves. Think of them as a kind of linguistic secret code, just a really, really weird one. To kick things off, let's look at a category of idioms that, if you take them literally, sound, incredibly gruesome. Yeah, these are the sayings that paint some pretty dark pictures in your head. Okay, let's start with a classic that everyone knows. It's raining cats and dogs. We say it all the time when there's a heavy downpour, but have you ever just stopped for a second to actually picture what that would look like? Right? This quote just nails it. If you just wanted to say the rain was heavy, why on earth would you choose living creatures? I mean, if someone said it was raining tables, you just think, wow, that's some heavy rain. But raining cats and dogs? That is a completely different kind of emergency. The actual meaning is, of course, a lot simpler and way, way less alarming. It just means it's raining a lot. But that mental image the phrase creates is, well, it's anything but simple. And speaking of morbid, here's another one for you. Eat your heart out. This is a phrase we toss around all the time, usually as a kind of competitive taunt. It's just so wonderfully grotesque when you think about it literally, isn't it? It sounds like a threat from some slasher movie, not something you'd yell after you sink an amazing shot in mini golf. So the important thing here is that it's not actually about cannibalism, thank goodness. It's really about being so good at something that you playfully tell your rival they should just be consumed by jealousy. A much more socially acceptable meaning, I think we can all agree. Okay, so let's move on. Some idioms aren't necessarily morbid, they're just completely illogical. These are the phrases where logic seems to have packed its bags and gone on a permanent vacation. At first glance, this one seems pretty straightforward, right? We all know it means to ignore something on purpose. But let's break it down. And there it is, the logical flaw. The action of turning is totally unnecessary. If the eye is blind, it doesn't matter which way it's pointing. It's kind of like wearing a belt and suspenders at the same time just to make sure you're not seeing something. And yet, even with its weird redundancy, the meaning is crystal clear to all of us. It's all about making that conscious, deliberate choice to ignore a reality that's staring you right in the face. Now, this one is fantastic because the idiomatic meaning is the complete opposite of the literal experience. I mean, think about it. Going downhill is fun. It's the easy part. Skiing, cycling, sledding. Nobody's at the top of a hill saying, oh no, it's all downhill from here. This idiom takes a universally awesome feeling and flips it into a total downer. And then we have the classic predicament of being in a pickle. You're in a tough spot, a jam, a bind. But why a pickle, of all things? This just perfectly captures the absurdity of it all. Out of all the things you could be stuck in to represent a difficult situation, a giant, briny cucumber seems like a really specific and, honestly, a really weird choice. But somehow, we all get it. We all understand it perfectly. To be in a pickle is to be in trouble. No extra explanation needed, despite the incredibly bizarre image it brings to mind. But you know what? Sometimes all this weirdness actually has a reason. A lot of these idioms had origins or contexts that we've just lost over time, and once you know the story, they suddenly make perfect sense. For example, happy as a clam. Sounds a little silly, doesn't it? I mean, do clams even emote? But the original full phrase is happy as a clam at high tide. And that makes total sense. High tide is when clams are covered by water and safe from birds and other predators. So their happiness is all about survival. Or what about goody two-shoes? Today, we kind of use it as a mild insult for someone who's a little too perfect. But the original story is about a homeless orphan named Marjorie, who, after someone gives her a pair of shoes, dedicates her life to learning, teaching other kids, preventing crime, and even saving animals. She's basically a folk hero. Which brings us to this really great question. Why did we take the name of a character who is selfless, smart, and brave and twist it into a sarcastic little jab? It's such a fascinating and weird turn in the life of a phrase.
So after all of this, after seeing how morbid, how illogical, and how plain strange these phrases are, you really have to ask yourself, what's the point? Why do we even bother using them?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Idioms are the spice of language. They let us express ourselves in more colorful, more creative ways. I mean, saying you're in a pickle is just so much more interesting than saying you're in a difficult situation. They create this shared code that adds real texture and personality to the way we speak. So the next time you hear someone say, "It's raining cats and dogs," or you tell a friend that something was a piece of cake, just take a second to appreciate the beautiful weirdness of it all. Which leaves me with one last question for you. What's the weirdest idiom you find yourself using all the time?